Natalie, what kind of plants thrive in a balcony space?
That's a good question. I think I was intimidated when I first started because I thought it's a balcony, I'm doing pots. Surely I can only do a small section of plants. What I found is that I haven't yet found a plant I can't grow up here.
Okay.
Aside from sunflowers. Those need too much space. Those are a little bit too big.
Okay.
But everything else, as long as you have a pot big enough, like one of these giant ones right here, I've found that balcony gardening is a lot more forgiving than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, so pro tip, big pot.
Yes, big pots. It's going to help you in so many ways. You're going to be able to fit more stuff and cycle through so that you constantly have something living as something's dying.
Mm-hmm.
It's also going to mean that you don't have to water it as frequently because it's not going to dry out as fast. So for example, these guys, I am constantly watering them because in a day or even 12 hours, all of the moisture just sucks right out. The big pots will really hold on to stuff better.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the other pro tips for a balcony?
So like people, plants can sometimes get sick, or they can get something like aphids, which are little kind of bugs that live on the plant. And if you have that on one of your plants and you have a giant sprawling garden, it's kind of contagious and all of your plants are going to get sick. If you have a balcony, sometimes I'll put a plant in quarantine and scooch it over to the corner where it's by itself.
Out of the way.
Yeah, and then nobody else gets sick and nobody gets transmitted. And so I find that it's really helpful in that sense because it keeps more of your plants happy, healthy.
Okay, that's what I want. Happy, healthy plants on my balcony.
Yeah. So this is your pot with everything in it. When you take it home, if you want to put it up on little risers so it can drain, you can do that.
Okay.
And when you place it, put these beans next to your railing
So they can.
so that they can twine around. Yep, exactly.
That's my new bean dance.
I'm excited.
Talk to me about your planning process with all of this.
Absolutely. So when I first started, I kind of viewed things as chunky seasons. So we've got planting in spring, planting in summer, and I viewed them as these really discrete boxes. What I found through doing that is that the calendar year is actually a complete cycle. And so the way that I really want to be thinking about it is I always want to have something coming up as something is dying, which means that I'm kind of proactively planting for the season so that there's always something going on in these beds. I started out where I would rip everything all out and then start all over. But with big pots like these, it's not necessary. And then that way I can always have something going, always have something to look at.
Cycle of life.
Exactly. Yeah. Never ending cycle. I was going to maybe tell you about tomatoes and how to prune them. Because you're maybe going to have to do that because they grow like a lot. And when they grow, they get kind of like forky. So it'll be like the main stalk and then little pieces going out the side. And then you'll have like little blooms that grow in between those two. And they want to be another branch and you want to cut them because otherwise your tomato, yes, ma'am. Otherwise your tomato is going to be too big. You can't eat that many tomatoes. So you have to,
I will struggle with that.
It's okay because you can compost them. And you can return them to the earth.
This is a worm bin.
Okay.
And it's a way to compost. You fill the bin with food scraps and shredded paper, and the worms break it down into this magic.
I've got some. Where do you get worms? Are you harvesting them in the front? Like, how are you getting these?
You know, the worms that you find in your garden are not great as compost worms.
Okay.
So you can buy them from local suppliers or you can buy them online. You can order your worms in the mail.
What about on the balcony? Would that work? That's what I have.
Okay. Worms are a little sensitive, so they prefer 50 degrees to 80 degrees. So if there's a spot where it's going to get colder or hotter than that, then they may be unhappy. So it may not be best for a balcony.
Okay. I want happy worms, so I will let them stay here. Yeah, worms. Amber, where can I find seeds for my plants?
Well, if you're just getting started, you may need to buy some seeds from a local nursery or maybe an online seed supplier. But once you get started, you can harvest your own seeds and then plant them for the next season. So you can see here, I actually have some crops that are starting to set seed. So these are cilantro plants. Here's the flowers, but you can see I've got seeds that will be ready soon. We actually eat cilantro seeds as coriander. If you've ever cooked with coriander in the kitchen,
Okay,
it's
I have
actually
not.
dried cilantro seeds. They're delicious. But you can see also this is a kale that is starting to flower, and these are the seed pods right here. So if I let those mature and dry out, I'll be able to pick the seed pods, and then when I'm ready to plant some kale again, I've got some seeds ready to go. And same with, this is celery that soon will be flowering as well. So if you have the space to let some of your crops mature at the end of the season and harvest them, then you'll have a supply. And also, connect with your local gardeners. Here in the community, we've got a lot of seed libraries. People do plant and seed swaps. A lot of people start more seeds than they need, so they're happy to share extra seedlings, which can get you started in your garden too.
Sweet.